Tonight, we begin with a development that global intelligence officials had feared, tracked, and quietly prepared for. A development that unfolded not over months, but in a single day. A single day that shifted diplomatic equations. A single day that forced long-standing rivals into the same room. A single day that changed how power is being brokered in South Asia. What Vladimir Putin did this week crossed a line that Western diplomats had hoped would never be crossed. And when that line broke, New Delhi and Islamabad did not hesitate. They responded with calculation, restraint, and something rarely seen between them, coordination. For months now, there had been signals, not official statements, not press briefings, just quiet diplomatic movements, that Russia was preparing something unusual. Putin has been assertive, yes, but he has also been methodical in that assertiveness. His moves have followed a certain rhythm, a pattern, almost a discipline. But what set off alarm bells in Washington, Beijing, and Brussels this time was that the pattern went silent. No leaks, no advance warnings, no public positioning. Experts who monitor high-level diplomatic traffic know the indicators. The sudden cancellation of routine engagements, the redirection of senior envoys, the activation of back-channel communications, and the sudden absence of public commentary, all of that went quiet. And whenever Putin goes quiet, it means something is about to get loud. Early this week, regional diplomatic observers detected what they described as coordinated Russian outreach, including parallel engagements with both India and Pakistan that had not occurred simultaneously in over a decade. These are the kinds of diplomatic moves that Moscow only deploys when it is signaling something very specific, a realignment, a pressure test, or a strategic wedge. Observers didn't know which category this fell into, or whether it fell into all three at once. But what they did know was that Russia was changing its posture in South Asia. And when a nuclear-armed power shifts posture without explanation, even subtly, the entire region pays attention. The diplomatic response issued quietly by Western embassies was not routine. It was not symbolic. It was urgent. Officials, after closed-door briefings, described Putin's move as calculated, non-Western-centric, and most importantly, structural, meaning it was designed to last. But strategy only works if the target hesitates. India and Pakistan did not. In fact, their reaction was among the most disciplined diplomatic responses seen between them in years. Within 48 hours of Russia's outreach, both capitals authorized parallel consultations, not publicly together, but deliberately timed. These weren't ceremonial talks. These were strategic assessments, the kind that happen when states prepare for long-term shifts, not headlines. Tonight, regional sources confirmed that Russia proposed a trilateral framework focused on energy, security dialogue, and regional stability, not alliances, not treaties, frameworks. Russia moved before either side could frame the narrative first. They reached Islamabad. They reached New Delhi. They reached military, not just political channels. In other words, Russia targeted the decision-making layer, not the public-facing one. This is what made Western concerns so immediate. Putin's move wasn't symbolic. It was actionable. It represented the kind of diplomatic positioning that could reduce Western leverage in South Asia if left unchecked. And both India and Pakistan, understanding that fully, responded carefully, not emotionally, not defensively, but strategically. They didn't reject, they didn't rush, they listened. And here's where the story becomes even more intense. Analysts now believe that Putin's move was designed to test whether India and Pakistan could be engaged simultaneously without immediate breakdown. For decades, global powers failed at this. The US couldn't do it. China couldn't fully do it. The UN never came close. Putin wanted to see if strategic necessity could override rivalry. And unexpectedly, it did. Neither side walked out. Neither side escalated rhetoric. Instead, both recalibrated. That response was so measured, so controlled, that even Moscow noticed. You don't get Putin's attention easily. But this time, he got exactly what he wanted. Proof that pressure creates openings. As reports continued throughout the week, the scale of Russia's engagement became clearer. Russian energy officials offered parallel investment frameworks. Security envoys discussed regional counterterror coordination. Military observers quietly assessed confidence-building measures. This wasn't mediation. This wasn't neutrality. This was positioning. This was Russia placing itself not above the conflict, but between the rivals. And that middle ground is where influence is born. Remember, global powers assumed India would never share space diplomatically with Pakistan under pressure. Pakistan would resist any framework that didn't prioritize its concerns. Russia had lost relevance in South Asia. All three assumptions were wrong. Tonight, India is engaging. Pakistan is listening, and Russia is shaping the room. What makes this moment so fragile and so consequential is that Putin's move comes when every major actor is under pressure. India faces strategic competition on multiple fronts. Pakistan faces economic and security strain. Russia faces isolation in the West. Putin isn't acting from comfort. He's acting from necessity. And leaders acting under necessity don't seek applause. They seek leverage. Western diplomatic statements, now carefully worded, signal discomfort without confrontation. Officials said Russia's move was inconsistent with established regional mechanisms. That's diplomatic language for, we didn't expect this, and we don't control it. You don't hear that tone often, unless the balance has shifted. Meanwhile, leaders in both South Asian capitals addressed domestic audiences carefully. No escalation, no accusations, just emphasis on national interest, strategic autonomy, and regional stability. Those aren't slogans. Those are signals. Here's what raises concern further. Russia didn't act alone. At the same time, China increased regional consultations. Iran signaled support for new dialogue formats. Central Asian states quietly aligned messaging. When major players move in coordination, it means something larger is forming. Analysts now see three possibilities. Russia is preparing a new Eurasian diplomatic bloc. Russia is attempting to weaken Western influence regionally. Or Russia is reshaping conflict management itself. But today, India and Pakistan removed one risk. They didn't escalate. They didn't collapse talks. They didn't reject engagement. They stayed in the room. What we are watching now is a test of strategic maturity. Putin wants to see if pressure produces alignment. India and Pakistan want to protect autonomy. The West wants to prevent exclusion. China wants to observe quietly. Every move now matters. Tonight, sources confirm continued back-channel communication. They say Russia's approach is deliberate. They say follow-up meetings are likely. And they say this is part of a long-term positioning strategy. But India and Pakistan are not passive. Their response today, measured, synchronized, and controlled, sent Moscow a message. And it sent the world another. And tonight, for the first time in years, the region is quiet, too quiet. And when geopolitics goes quiet, it means calculations are being made. Because tonight, Putin learned something important. Pressure creates openings. Silence creates space. And influence belongs to those who step between rivals. This story is far from over. But tonight, one thing is clear. The board has changed. The players are adjusting. And the next move will reshape the region. We'll be watching every step.